Number one, I hope I would never have to fill that role. I'm not running for Secretary of State to be governor. But I think a governor needs, in my opinion, I would hope that would be a full spectrum conservative. You, as the Secretary of State, you're not voting, you're not vetoing, you're not doing any of that stuff. But we need a governor who looks out for the state and increases economic growth, period, end of sentence. We've been in a recession far too long. We seem to always be behind the curve. We seem to pass laws in search of a problem and damage our reputation. That's got to change. We are a unique state. Our state has the potential to be the shining light on the hill, to be the one that shows the rest of the country how it's done. We seem to trip over our own feet most of the time in doing that. So I, as a governor, would look to, number one, curb illegal immigration, then make sure that once Americans have their job, that we have a revised, instead of the broken guest worker program that we have a revised one where people could come and honestly work if there were no citizens who would take the job. I think that's a number one priority that politicians won't touch. The second thing I do is I have a big heart for foster children. And I think with the fiasco that's gone on for children in this state, it not only makes sense on a social and emotional level, but it makes sense on an economic level. If you look at what happens, for instance, foster children, 2 out of every 3 by the time they're 25, if they're not adopted, are either in jail, on drugs, or homeless. That's not a good ratio. We have 24% of our kids in school here that actually end up going to college. Now, I don't think everyone has to go to college. That's not my thing. But 2% of the foster children go to college. There's something wrong there. We've got to fix that system. And when you do a lot of preventive maintenance like that, as you do in healthcare or anything else, and well, in the businesses you guys are in, you know that, flooring business, do a little preventive maintenance up front costs you a whole lot less than having to do it later on. And again, economic growth for the state. And as a governor, I would look to build a team. I don't think there's one person that can do it. I'm a big believer in Abraham Lincoln's. I'll give you 2 quotes. Abraham Lincoln's quote that when you don't care, when a man or woman doesn't care who gets the credit, you can do a whole lot of good. And the second quote is by C.S. Lewis. He says, when you put second and third priorities first, you often lose the first priority. When you put first priorities first, you often get the second and third thrown in for free. And too many times in this state, we have politicians who put the second and third priorities first, and we lose everything. I mean, we look stupid on a national level, and number 2, we don't get the problem solved. I'm all interested in getting the problem solved. I'll give you a third quote. I played football up here for Jess Parker at Mountain View, back in the days when they would let you not have drinks for 2 days, and you drank out of a hose, and it was hot, it'd burn your mouth when you drank it. He was a great man, not because he was a great football coach, but because he sat there and taught young boys how to be men. And he made us memorize poems. So I have poems just seared in my brain, because otherwise you'd have to run extra laps, or we had what they called circle drills. And one of the poems was, "The world is not interested in the storms you've encountered, but did you bring in the ship?" And that's what we need right now. We need people, we need you. You all serving in government, not people who are in there and to make a career out of it. Because too long now, people say, oh, well, I've worked on this problem, Well, did you get it solved? Well, no. Well, then, what are you talking about? Well, why are you talking about that? Because we need solutions, not a list of things that have been done without having the problem solved. And that's what I'd hope to do as Secretary of State. And unfortunately, if I ever had to go to a governor, do that same thing as governor.